If we don't start that, you know that's our announcer now, recorded progress. Now, if we can get on to Facebook.
I thought that was Unit 6.
That is, I see Unit 6 every once in a while. I'll see her on. I just saw a post that she put up. Do you follow her at all?
No.
I actually follow both Unit 6s. As people who know us for a long time know, we've had 2 Unit 6s in our life.
Which would make it a Unit 12, but we're not going there. Adam 12, that's what it would make it.
Yes. All right. Why aren't we going live here? Come on, America. All right, here we go.
All right, America. From the frontiers of Spopakia, he's New York Vinnie, and he's in Seattle, Washington.
And he's Michael Knight, and he's in the place where Spopakians go to practice war, Los Angeles, California.
Where are you going to get a tan? Today, I know that it's not top of mind with a lot of people, but there's a water shortage in California. And this week we were supposed to have rain. 60% chance of rain between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. netted exactly 0 rain. So that's the kind of rain we have. A 60% chance of nothing happening is what happened. The water shortage continues. And today it's going to be 89 degrees here in my neighborhood. So I know that there are a lot of things going on in the world. But California is raising its hand saying, I just wanted to mention that there's 40 million of us and we don't have any water over here.
Well, I'm sure that there are places in this country and this world that will be happy to sell you water.
Would Washington State have any water they don't need?
Well, we're in the middle of a 4-year drought up here, Michael. So
no, it sounds
whilst I would think that, we'd have some extra to sell you, and I'm sure if it's an emergency, we'll help you out. But
how are we going to get it down here?
Well, if we're building pipelines for things, how come we've never built a pipeline for water? I mean, we have. I mean, obviously, the California aqueduct is the one that immediately comes to mind. But
I think it's because
the idea that you transport water like that, I mean, that's pretty
simple.
old school.
Yeah.
But yet we always have looked at oil as so valuable and water as a less valuable commodity. So we don't
you can get it. You can get it anywhere. It's all over the place. Go on. There's water everywhere, but there's not oil everywhere
like that anymore.
And also, when the pipeline breaks for oil, it ruins everything. When the pipeline breaks for water, the grass grows.
Yeah. And it's interesting because back east, obviously, they figured that out a long time ago. That's why you have those big, beautiful aqueducts that go from the reservoirs up in upstate New York and run down. You had the Italians came over. They knew the Romans. The Romans had the whole aqueduct thing down. And so they built these beautiful bridges that have nothing but water pipelines because they couldn't have an industrial or a business megalopolis if people couldn't get Evian.
No aqueduct, no Schenectady. It's pretty simple.
Exactly. And so they built these huge, they are pipelines.
Yep.
For water, as much as the same thing that they did to irrigate the desert.
I like the fact that when there was a water shortage in Northern California, they built a pipeline on the Richmond-Santa Fe Bridge so that the water could get from the East Bay all the way to Marin County, which only lived off its lakes. And when the drought was over, what do you think Marin County did? They took the pipeline out. They went to the trouble of saying, well, we'll never, ever have any need for this again. I say, let's take it off.
Did that. That must have been
the same guy who's looking for the contract to put it back on now.
Probably so. You see, that's part of the problem is we just haven't valued water. If you rolled by and you saw a hose outside of somebody's house and it was spewing oil out of it or gasoline out of it, you'd get a bucket, you'd do something to stop, to at least corral the water because it's a valuable commodity.
But if you see a sprinkler just going crazy in the street, it's nothing.
Or if somebody washing their car and the phone rings inside, so they put the hose down and the water runs down and it's out in the street. And Nobody thinks, well, let's look at that. That's such a waste. I mean, one day we're not going to have enough water because we all thought we were going to have enough water forever, right?
The planet looked like it was going to supply water. That's the agreement we had with Mother Nature, and she's
Right.
backing out on it.
But, well, no, I think what Mother Nature is saying is, listen, you screwed with so many things, so many gifts that I've given you. I've given you a Christmas morning of gifts every day. I've given you air so that you can breathe. I've given you water so that you can subsist. I've given you food. I've given you greenery. I've given you beautiful things to see. And in each case, you have figured out a way to sully them.
And all you had to do, see, the one thing we couldn't break were the biggest laws, like gravity. If we could figure out how gravity worked, we'd fuck that up. So
Well,
people would just start flying off the planet.
Because now people get in a gravity defying tube at a big building that we've all built, and they can't be bothered to wear a mask so that they can go from Los Angeles to New York in 5 hours.
I got a meeting.
I gotta go.
What's the meeting about? The meeting is about conserving our natural resources and having more water for the planet. There you go. That's why I have to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mother Nature has we've figured out almost every law of Mother Nature. The one that we haven't figured out, the big one is, excuse me, but can I live eternally? That's one that probably will never be figured out, or at least at some point.
Well, I think it was in the plans, but they said, look, if these people can live forever, then look what they're going to do in a lifetime. From the time that they begin to the time when they will never end, to infinity, it'll only take 10 of them to ruin the whole planet. It won't take that long. There's garbage everywhere. There was only 10 of you. Look at the mess you made.
Right.
No, we live forever.
And so they cut Strom Thurmond's pills off, and there he went.
And I, for one, was not sad to see him go.
Can't say that I was broken up about it.
I don't remember anybody saying what we need is 10 more years of Strom Thurmond.
Oh, I'm sure there were many people that said we need 10 more years of Strom Thurmond.
I guess I didn't hear them in my earpiece.
I'm sure there was some good old boys. But we now pay the price for that. For that, not Strom Thurmond, but for the disregard of Mother Nature. It's such a basic principle that the Pope talks about it all the time. He says, if you're not regarding your planet that you were given by God, he may just damn well come one day and take it back from you.
I was looking at a thing on Nova last night about all the planets and how there's no life on any of them, possibly on some of the moons, but no life on any of the planets. So if you don't like this planet, try living on Neptune. It's a gas giant, and it's so cold that you wouldn't last half a second. So pick another planet that you think is better than this one, that's more in answering to your personal needs. And let me know what it is and where it is, and then get back to me. And you can go. We'll stay here, but and take the Republican Party with you.
Isn't that what Musk and Bezos and all of these guys that used to, put their money into preserving the planet, and in essence, trying to make things better, or at least, help out with making it better. They've now taken their fortunes and pointed them toward getting off the planet and getting out of here and going somewhere else.
The problem is within our group of planets in our solar system, there's no place to go. The closest one, of course, is Mars. And that's an interesting idea. But it would be nice also if it had an atmosphere, because look around, we use ours every day, right? We couldn't be here without our atmosphere.
Right.
And that's the problem with the next planet. It doesn't have one of those. Oh, well, where are we going? Well, that next stop is on the local is Jupiter, but the next stop on the express is out of here, way out of here. Millions and billions and billions of, there's a billion miles difference between the planets in the outer solar system. Between Jupiter and Saturn, you got a billion miles. Between Saturn and Uranus, another billion miles. It takes a while to get there.
Yeah, well, the bigger you get, the longer it takes to get to Uranus.
That's what I've always said.
It's a proven fact of life. But, the Slovakia space program is headed straight toward Uranus.
Well, because that's where they wanted to go.
Well, that's where they felt it would be best.
Slovakia is something. They take off and they land in the same place, which I'm sorry. For efficiency, it may have seemed like a good idea, but when it comes, what a Slovakia landing looks like, it ain't pretty.
Yeah. The troops, the Space Force. By the way, do we still have the Space Force, or is it just now
just a patch? There's just a patch.
A TV series now.
It's a logo. It never got past the logo.
See, I thought there were actual. I mean, I've seen it, the logo in Memorial Day and stuff like that. I mean, what's the Space Force Memorial? I don't know. Day ceremony must be pretty short.
It's like this.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you going to do?
No Space Force member has been killed in action.
Well, we can't put too much money in the Space Force because if you notice, ground wars are back in fashion, and the Space Force is no good for that. Like, what are we going to do for Lviv or Kiev? What are we going to do to help those people? Well, we can't send the Space Force. They're of no use to us. They're of no use to anybody. We can't send the
ground force because we might piss off Putin.
Well, he's kind of in a mood anyway, isn't he? Because apparently he's now losing ground all across Ukraine. I can't believe this Ukrainian army. Did anyone even think they had a Ukrainian army? Turns out it's the best one on the planet.
I'll tell you
do not get them stirred up. They are something.
The only bad part of the whole, and I'm cheering for you Ukrainians like crazy. I mean, I just want to see them just make those little Russian tanks turn around and go home and build a wall across that border and never come back again.
Remember, that's what happened in Afghanistan. They got their trucks and drove home.
Yeah. And it won't take 10 years this time because the Ukrainian people are not to disparage the Afghanis, but they're a lot smarter and in their way and a lot more pro. The Afghanis will sit back and let the war come to them. The Ukrainians are now in a position where they're going after the war. They're now in a position where they're saying, get the fuck off my block.
You ask the Russians, how's the war going? They said, well, we liked it better when we were chasing them.
Yeah.
Now they're chasing us.
I saw a film yesterday of an older woman. You're kind of typical who you would expect to live in Ukraine.
Right. A babushka.
Those of us who have some age on us, have a kind of an idea of what people in Ukraine kind of look like. They have the long black coat, and the old ladies, and the scarf on their head, everything. Where the reality is much more that it looks like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's got stores and cars and apartment buildings and people working and everything. So anyway, there was this scene that they showed on CNN last night, and this woman is out there in the traditional, the old style Ukrainian and European garb, the post-war European garb, and she's out there, and I don't know if she had I couldn't see whether it was a gun or a stick.
Or a spatula.
But she's out there shaking it at these Russian troops.
Get the hell off my block.
Get the hell off my lawn. Get out of here. And she's shaking it at him, and she's no fear in this woman at all.
No. Because she knew she was right.
I mean, they can incinerate her in a second. And they got to be sitting in that tank going, what the hell are we going to?
The grandmas and the boobies are coming for
fire
us.
missiles from offshore, and you hit people in apartment buildings because you don't even really know.
Or
you don't know what you're just shooting a missile. But when you're sitting in that tank and that woman is standing in front of your tank, and you got to and you have the choice of turning around or incinerating her. And if you incinerate her, you're not going to get out of there alive.
No.
Because there's, 5,000 people standing behind her that are going to come and literally rip you out of that tank. You can't shoot everybody. And it's just, it's amazing. It done my heart so good to see that, to look at that woman and to look at those people standing there and standing up. It's that Tiananmen Square moment,
Yeah.
Where these people, they're not going to take it.
No way.
They're not going to sit there and say, well, we're just going to lie down for you.
I think all the arms that we've been shipping in are finally having some results.
I think so too. I mean, it's certainly not Putin, because he looks like he's ready to blow the whole country up. He looks like he's ready to destroy everything and kill all the people.
He would like that. He actually, that might satisfy him until lunch.
Yeah, he wants nothing more right now than to turn Ukraine into a parking lot because they've embarrassed him.
Well, actually, he's blaming them, but he's embarrassed himself.
He did it himself. He didn't have to invade. He didn't have to do this.
But he created the situation where everyone had to tell him what he wanted to hear. Are we ready? Oh, yes, we're ready. Where we're going? We're going to Ukraine. What are we going to do? We're going to tear it apart. 3 days tops. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, you don't even have to pack rations for these guys. They'll be back before dinner.
Yeah, they can come and get their own dinner. You go in, you invade, you make a U-turn, come back. We'll have a hot dinner ready for you right at the border of Belarus.
Give the first guy credit card. What they didn't know is that, that the Ukrainians were in there pissing in their soup.
Happy to do it.
Oh, they will line it up. It's been such a heartwarming, and not heartwarming to see a war, obviously, but heartwarming to see these people stand up and fight back, and not, if America had gone in there or NATO had gone in there, the story wouldn't be half as good.
No, it would have been a mess.
It'd be a mess. But by these, and I don't know if this is what Biden and everybody else are thinking, that the only way you stop this is not by America going in there or NATO going in there, by us helping this country defend itself.
Yes, that seems to be the only plan. And it's not our plan. This just happened. There's no one that's going to be able to convince you when the history of this is written. The NATO forces knew all along. Watch out for those Ukrainians. Put your money on Ukraine. They got this thing. They got it.
Nobody thought. Now, does that? And listen, as going back to what I was saying before, it's interesting to me in watching this, because what it does do is it does enforce a theory that many gun control, anti-gun control people always talk about. And that is, well, what happens when they come to get us? That's why I have to have a gun in my house. That's why I have to have this. That's why I have to have that.
The Ukrainians didn't have that.
Well, they had hunting. They're fighting them with hunting rifles. They're fighting them with, now granted, they're probably handing those rifles out now instead of everybody having one.
Right.
But you mark my words, you heard it here first. When this blows over, the first thing that the gun control, not gun control, I keep saying gun control, but the anti-gun control people, the NRA and groups like that are going to seize on is look what happened in Ukraine. You mean to tell me you don't, because the other old line was of the anti-gun people, well, what do you need a gun? When the war happens, it's not going to happen.
Right.
You're not going to be out there shooting a gun on your lawn. And look what happened. The Ukrainians are out there shooting guns on their lawns and stopping these people. It's just, listen, my stance is still the same on guns, but I just find it fascinating that this theater is playing out.
Well, there's the American way with guns. This last weekend, there were 8 shootings.
Right.
Houston,
right.
Dallas, 2 in Virginia, all over.
You had 4 or 5 of them here.
And there were car shows and dances, and that's when these people pull out their guns and start blowing each other away. Parties and birthdays. That's our kind of shooting on the lawn.
Yeah. You're not here. You're not. I mean, I don't know when the last shooting in Ukraine was before the war. That was a multiple shooting. I haven't followed Ukraine, but I bet you they haven't had one in a bunch of years. It looks like a very nice place to live.
Except for Mariupol.
Well, right now, yeah. Listen, that's a whole nother thing. Listen, Putin wants a clear path, an unobstructed path to the sea. And Mariupol is in his way.
And plus, it was the only target he could hit from his ships.
Yeah.
He can't hit targets in the center of the country with shooting from his navy in the Black Sea. So he's got one target he can hit, and he keeps hitting it, but all the other targets now are in play.
Yeah. Ultimately, he may have to settle for that. Ultimately, if this thing is to end, and I haven't seen anybody that can accurately predict how or where it's going to end, except everybody says diplomacy.
Well, we're going to get another chapter tomorrow when the big meeting of NATO takes place in Brussels.
Yeah.
And look out for Biden coming into town, because I know he's going to Poland, but I said this would be a perfect time for him to do a sneak visit to Kiev to meet with the opposition, shake hands, give them a gun, watch a flyover of their new planes, helicopters, Stinger missiles, ground control devices to take out Russian missiles. Give them the whole kitchen.
Well, yeah. The problem with that is, is it grandstanding if he does it?
Well, send somebody else. Send the president of Poland. Send the head of NATO. Send the head of NATO forces.
Is it if you send a leader in there from one of the NATO countries, and let's say Putin thinks it's a great idea to blow him up?
Well, you got to have the meeting, get him out, and then release the film.
Right, but I think it's easier said than done. And I don't know that I would want the president, whoever he be, to be in that kind of situation.
Take that chance. Well, it's probably something that they thought of but would never actually do.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a nice gesture. It'd be great. The photo op with him standing there with Zelensky in Zelensky's office would be, one that, would go down with FDR standing in front of Congress on December 8th, 1941. So it would be one of those moments. But I just don't think in today's world, I mean, I often wonder how they got these guys. I mean, how did you put Roosevelt on a ship or something and send him across the Atlantic?
It wasn't easy. He was in jeopardy.
I mean, to me, that's still amazing that today, that back then, that they would do something like that. But people thought differently.
We have this meeting coming up tomorrow with all the NATO nations gathering. It can't just be a glad hand. Let's shake. It's time now for our pictures. Let's do lunch. That was good. When should we meet again? The time requires more than that. and it requires a different result. They can't just get together and say, well, things are going kind of strange. Yay for the Ukrainians. I wonder how long this will last. We don't have a plan for getting out of this. It's got to be more substantive than that. And something has to change after that meeting.
What would you do if you were, I mean, at this point, and you don't want to start World War III, you want to do something else to Putin, more to Putin. What would you do? I mean, what could you do more now?
Give them the weapon that'll fight back on the big guns that are shelling the cities. Give them some way to take out artillery, and if the needs be, then take out the naval shots from the Russian Navy in the Black Sea.
Is there a Ukrainian Navy?
No, I don't want to say no, because I didn't think there was a Ukrainian army. So
yeah, true.
Don't tell the Navy they don't belong, because those guys have probably got a flea up their nose over this situation. What do you mean we don't have a Navy? The hell we don't have a Navy. This is our water. This is our coast. These are our cities.
I mean, I would think that they would have a Navy, but
the thing that I can't believe is Putin still hasn't been able to take out the Ukrainian Air Force. Remember, they said, well, they've only got 80 planes. Well, they still have them.
They had a Navy.
They lost it in the card game. Did he trade him for Slovakia for a shortstop?
Let's see. As of 2015, the Ukrainian Navy had 6,500 people.
The ships.
Yeah, not many ships, but
if we ever get a ship, we're going to have to put all 6,500 on it. So you're going to need a big ship.
You need a battleship. I think 6,500 is probably around a crew for a battleship, right?
Aircraft carrier.
Yeah, because I guess 2014, when the Russians annexed Crimea, they lost most of the Navy, but they've been rebuilding their fleet.
Well, I think that this meeting in Brussels shows us that the Ukrainians have taken care of this situation and turned the tide on the Russian invasion. It's time for us now to do something more than just sending them a postcard that has a true effect on the outcome of the war, even if it's only a flood, an absolute flood of materials and armaments from the Polish border, so that the Ukrainians can stop this mess themselves. We have to give them every tool in the toolkit to mount now an offensive war to chase the Russians back and take them to their own border. And as for those separatists who thought living in the Donbass was such a safe place because they had all of Russia behind them, how do they feel today about that? How do they feel today about that position?
Well, and I think the first thing I mean, you have to get weapons. I mean, I think the weapons are flowing into it. Matter of fact, I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen Russian planes attacking whatever convoys they've been using to get these weapons into Ukraine.
I think they do it if they could, Van. I think they do it if they could.
Yeah, I think it's such a well-run operation, it seems. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, I don't know, Michael, we don't know, but I'm sure there's probably some Navy SEALs, at the border of Poland.
CIA Black Ops.
Yeah, see, those companies that that take out a business license on Monday and you're killing people on Thursday. I'm sure that they are delivering boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. The Russians just can't figure out. The one thing that really impresses, or not impresses me, or actually surprises me about this whole thing, I don't know about you, but I thought the Russians had a pretty badass army.
Well, that was the impression that they wanted to give. But during the big gift that Putin has given to his army is that everything is so corrupt and so ill run and so inept and so awfully put together that just they can't give orders, they can't do marching, they can't do support, they can't do any of the classic things that the army's supposed to do. They cannot make it work.
No rocket comes out.
Yeah, that's because you're out of rockets. Out of what? The rockets. You don't have any more.
Yeah, how do you think the oligarch bought that boat?
Yeah, with the money that they should have spent on tanks.
Yeah, they gave Wallace money. He says, well, we'll build the tank, but we don't need, everybody thinks we're badass, so we're not going to need rockets. They're just going to surrender.
And plus, how many tanks do we need? 5, 6? That should do it.
It's really, Putin has really exposed himself
as weak and inept.
As somebody who, and this is the scary part of it, is going to rely on nuclear weapons eventually, or chemical weapons. He's not going to rely on ground forces. He's not going to rely on advanced technology.
I'll bet you that if they use chemical weapons, they'll gas themselves. I'll bet you anything. Who knew the wind was going to blow that stuff back here? Anyone who had ever used this
Well, we were supposed to have speedometer, but never gets delivered.
Ruski equipment, she's no good.
Not so good. Meanwhile, we make fun of Americans for spending all that money on big
on stuff that actually flies.
On big guns, but look, drone come down, boom. Take
yeah, $20 Italian drones are they can't even take them out of the sky. They got nothing to. They can't shoot them down.
Well, yeah, because their defense system is against huge Air Force planes. So they're like the little mouse that runs through the elephant's legs. You know. Hey, I pray that it stops, that at some point here, because I feel, you know, listen, the Ukrainian people are a great story, and we all feel good watching it, you know, watching the Ukrainians when they, you know, stop the Russian tanks or they turn them back. But we don't see for a lot of the carnage of the people that have been lost, family members.
Plus, there's thousands of people still in Mariupol. They don't know where they are. They're probably underground, but there's thousands of them still there.
Yeah, people that have been murdered. What is it now? 3 million refugees
out of 40 million people. So there's a lot of folks hanging out in Ukraine somewhere.
Well, I mean, the thing is, not everybody's running.
Right.
You know, there's just a lot of people there.
Like the grandma you mentioned, the babushka, she's not going anywhere. She's got her spatula. She's going to take a Russian with her.
She's, you know, how many times over and over again, we've heard it from people. Ukraine is my home.
Right.
That's where I want to be.
Not going anywhere.
I don't want to be in America. I don't want to be in Europe. I don't want to be in Poland. I want to be in the Ukraine. I want to be at my, you know, my house, in my garden, my this, my that. That's where I want to be. Simple.
And it sounds good to me.
Yeah, I wish there was more I could do for those people. I really do.
Well, that's why I think this meeting is important, because there's more that we can do. And some of it's psychological, some of it is support, some of it is materials, some of it is black ops. But we have to do it all. And if we thought that this war was going to be over in a hurry and the Russians were going to win, this war is not going to be over for a long time, and the Russians are going to lose, and that's going to make it ugly. But so what? Well, as they run for the border, the Ukrainians will be after them with pitchforks.
This is listen. This is Putin's last hurrah, one way or the other.
Self-inflicted wound. This is the unintended consequences of this war. Is he's through. He's through.
He's decided that his bunker, that he's not just going to take Ava with him, but he's going to take a whole bunch of people with him,
as many as possible. That puts him in a very weakened position, which he's in right now, and he's taking it out on the army and the generals and the security forces. He's putting people under house arrest all across his intelligence groups, because they told him what he wanted to hear and it turned out not to be true. Now he wants them to tell him what he wants to hear, but this time make it true.
Yeah.
Well, you're losing. No, don't tell me that. Well, you're winning.
Well, your buddies that have the boats that are sitting in impound yards all over the world, and ask them for help.
Yeah, could you sell that yacht and give me the cash? I gotta pay off North Korea.
Now, one thing that they're going to have to do here is, I guess the Prime Minister of Germany is still not 100% on board
with the fuel.
With the Russian oil. He's like, well, I don't really want Germans to suffer.
Well, that's a reasonable point, and it turns out that fuel is based on the fact that there's a way for it to get to Germany. But if this war goes on, there's not a way for that fuel to keep getting to Germany.
No, that pipeline is going to get blown. That delivery system. That the ships are not going to get through. I mean, I don't know what,
and how's Germany paying for the oil? You can't send a check to Russia anymore.
Well, no, he what do you call it? I guess Putin this morning said that he wanted to get paid for his oil in rubles.
Good. They're not worth a damn thing.
I guess it was the only thing. I mean, I don't know where.
Because he can't change it. He can't change it out of dollars.
How is he
or
getting money
Deutschmarks.
to pay people? I mean, how's the soldiers getting paid?
Promises.
How's the security forces getting paid?
I offer you this promissory note.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I just
not just paid. They can't feed them, let alone pay them.
And if you're calling in all these mercenaries from around the world that you're going to use to go up against these people, you got to pay them, and you got to pay them well.
You got to pay them up front, and you got to feed them.
You got to buy them a ticket to get there. I mean, what happens when Putin says, hang on, I got to call Alaska Airlines and buy 1,300 tickets from, Islamabad or wherever they're going to get, to Moscow so we can fit these guys up.
And it would have to be more like 10,000 seats that he would need. A fighting force that would be of any use to him or any effect on the field. And then you put, where are these guys coming from? Azerbaijan? Where are they from? Syria? Can you imagine them in going through the Ukrainian winter with no boots, no jackets, no guns that are going to work that way? The Russian troops didn't have what they needed. This is exactly what happened to Hitler. He went on the Russian front and said, do they have winter in Russia? Yes, they do. I'm going to put off buying those coats until the last minute. I got to deal with REI.
Yeah, and they're never fun to deal with. I mean, they always make me run my credit card through 10 times.
So we'll go with the summer uniforms on the Russian front. What do you say?
Kill a bear and wrap yourself in its.
They got bears everywhere. They're everywhere. There should be enough bears for the entire army.
Yeah, just kill a bear, make a coat out of it, and let's get going.
But what about me shoes? Oh yeah, you need mucklucks.
Yeah, well, kill a snake and wrap your legs in. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? I'm here at this thing in a bunker. What do I know?
And the payments are coming through. Yeah, we did square that away. I got some gold out of Switzerland, and we're paying you tomorrow. Breakfast, we'll have to wait for that. I can't do the breakfast. I can't. I said I would. I can't.
You can't buy bullets and feed you guys at the same time.
So which do you want?
We need the bullets.
Right.
Meanwhile, the people in Moscow are going, how come we don't have a bus anymore?
What the hell happened to the train that used to take me to work?
Well, the bus is taking troops to somewhere, and
Slovakia.
Yeah, and how come there's nothing in the supermarkets? How come I went in the store and it's $11,000 for a loaf of bratwurst?
A loaf of bratwurst? My God. Used to be able to get Russian rye in the store. Now nothing. Now it's a loaf of bratwurst or nothing.
Forget it. You gotta send to New York. I have to call Amazon.
And I went to Der Wiener Schnitzel and they wouldn't take my credit card.
They don't want my credit card. They won't send me anything. I said, I've been buying stuff from you guys for years and not anymore.
No, even if you had Amazon Prime, we wouldn't deliver.
Nope. It says right there in big red letters, except Russia.
Yeah, everybody have a good time. Everybody Wang Chung tonight, except Russia.
Except Russia. Everybody party up, party out, party in, party on, Garth. All right, Mikey, let's see, got a couple other things here that we should, just for the heck of it, because you and I both come from places where bridges played a very important role in our formative years, our lives. We always went over bridges. So, and we both come from places where, even though we took the title from you in 1964, we both lived in cities that were home to the world's longest suspension bridge.
Yep. For
the longest time. You at the Golden Gate Bridge over to Marine County, me with the Verrazano over to Staten Island from Brooklyn. Do you know what the longest suspension bridge in the world is now?
Well, it's in China. I don't know the name of it.
Nah, they built a longer one.
In where?
The Kanakale Bridge, the 1915 Kanakale Bridge, or Kanakale. It crosses the Dardanelles.
Oh.
Right
in the war zone.
Yeah, the bridge connects the Turkish towns of Gelibolu on Gelibolu, Catbaloo.
Now we see them singing on the new bridge.
Yeah, Stubby K is actually crossing the bridge.
Sit down, you're rocking the bridge.
With his banjo.
Stubby K.
Yes, he's available for bridge openings. You know that Tony Bennett sang at the opening of the Triborough Bridge in New York, and then sang at its like 70, what was it? What was the last sell? It opened in 1936, so it was last year. And what would happen? The 75th anniversary, right? No, more than that. Whatever it was, he sang at that too.
Did he sing the same song? And as I was saying,
yeah, I left my heart on Randall's Island.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people know it in San Francisco, but the original song was "I Left My Heart on Randall's Island,"
and it was a hit.
And my underwear in the sanitation.
It was a regional hit.
Yes,
on WINS.
So from Gelibolu to the town of Lapseki on the Asian side of the bridge. It spans 2 continents, this bridge. Turkish President Erdogan and South Korean Prime Minister Kim Boo-kyum.
Why were they there? I can understand the guy from Turkey, but why did he bring in the South Korean guy?
It's a joint venture between the two nations.
I see.
It used to take an hour and a half by ferry. The new bridge cuts travel times down to 6 minutes and will cost Turks 200 lira or $13.60
per
to
trip
cross the bridge. Now, that's actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, cheaper than the Holland Tunnel.
Cheaper?
Cheaper than the Holland Tunnel. I think the Holland Tunnel is 14.
The Dardanelles appear in what Pac-12 school fight song?
UCLA.
Closer to you than UCLA.
Oregon?
Closer still.
Not Washington State.
No, not Washington State.
Washington?
Yes. Fighting in the Dardanelles appears in the Washington Husky fight song.
Really?
And most of the people that go to the school don't know what they are or where they are.
I mean, I had heard of them before, and I had a general idea of where they were, but
UW fight song. Check it out.
If I'd have known that, I would have called Sonny Bow Down to Washington. Lyrics first.
There you go. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. Husky Marching Band Bow Down to Washington. Wikipedia. All right. Let's hear. Written by Lester Wilson in 1915. 15.
See, the Crimea War.
So right, but
Did they have the lyrics there?
I don't want the history at the moment. I want the lyrics.
I might challenge UW students to show me where the Dardanelles are on the map.
Heaven help the foes of Washington. They're trembling at the feet of mighty Washington. The boys are there with bells. Their fighting blood excels. It's harder to push them over than the line than to pass the Dardanelles.
He got a little carried away.
Victory, the cry of Washington. Leather lungs together with a rah, rah, rah.
Leather lungs together.
Oh, it's only 2 rahs, I'm sorry, with a rah, rah.
Well, they needed 3. Well, I guess it didn't fit the scanning of the song, so they had to cut it to 2.
Well, Michael, I'm appreciative of that information.
There's almost nothing you can do with it except quiz students.
Well, no, actually, we can, because I'm sure that, I mean, with all of you, I know that they told me about something on Channel 7 News this morning about 11 times in 2 hours. What did something happen? They keep telling you about the same fire all the time. A house burned in Tacoma. Well, tell me something new. Well, you know what? I'm going to send this into Cairo and see if they'll make the connection that the UW fight song. I would make the connection.
Is now
made the connection.
Well, I couldn't believe that the Dardanelles were in the song the first time I heard it when I lived there.
Or maybe I'll save it for a feature story on Drive Time this weekend.
Ooh, driving across the largest suspension bridge in the world. It refers to what Pac-12 fight song?
There we go. Or we'll just tell people that the connection between the newest suspension bridge. There are several. Yeah, I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the longest suspension bridge, that's the longest one in the world now. It's amazing how far down the bridges have fallen. I mean, the Golden Gate, I believe, is now the Verrazano, I believe, is the 16th.
Wow. Didn't hold the title for long, huh?
Well, the Golden Gate held it from 1939 is when it was built, 1937 until 1964. And then the Verrazano Narrows Bridge opened in 64, and that was the longest, and that held it from 64 until 1981.
Ooh, good long run.
Both of those bridges don't even crack the top 15 anymore.
Wow.
Verrazano is number 18, and the Golden Gate is number 19.
Wow. Times have changed.
Yeah, I found it fascinating. Just about these bridges, and most of them are in China, except for this newest one, with the main span of 2,023 meters, or 6,637.1 feet.
And when you get on that bridge, you're in Turkey, and then you go where? You go across the Dardanelles to
Asia.
To Asia.
Yeah, doesn't that go right across? Because the strait is between the Aegean Sea. My geography is a bit rusty, but it's between the Aegean Sea and I believe in some other.
The Bosphorus.
Maybe the Bosphorus. Gelibolu. to Lepseki. So it's from Turkey to, and I guess the Koreans had a big part in
probably engineering it.
Yeah, engineering and building it. That's why the Korean president was there. It's over the Turkish Straits. There's 3 bridges over the Bosphorus. Spans the Dardanelles Straits south of the Sea of Marmara.
Yo Mama. Isn't that the Sea of Yo Mama?
You're talking about my mama. Yeah, and it's a beautiful bridge. I mean, those bridges, you've been across, when you cross a bridge like that, I mean, it curves with the earth.
Yeah.
It's just such a wild ride.
Do they have toll takers on the bridge, guys who sing you a little song when you get to the booth? Or is it automated?
I'm thinking, Michael, and I may be wrong on this, I'm thinking that they have Easy Pass.
Yep, you're right.
I
like toll takers.
And it eliminates the yeah, it's really interesting. It's obviously an interesting part of the world. I mean, it's just trying to see if I could get it to. Yeah, so it's west, to give you an idea, it's east of Istanbul. And yeah, I believe it goes from Europe, that part of Europe, to Asia.
Turkey side to the Asian side.
Yeah, to the Asian side. If you want due east of it, you would wind up in Thessaloniki, which is in Greece. Yeah, crazy part of the world. I mean, interesting part of the world. I've never been there, but I've always wanted to go to Greece. I always wanted to check out Greece.
Well, Istanbul is one of the most visited cities in the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you watch 90 Day Fiancé, you're familiar with Istanbul.
You got to go.
Because when they don't send, when the people match up and they're matching up with a Russian, they don't send them to Russia. They have the Russian come out to Istanbul and the other person come to Istanbul. And that's where they meet and spend their lovey time to figure out if they want to get married or not.
On the Turkish side?
On the Turkish side.
There you go.
So that's that's Istanbul. I went to school 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I think, with a guy that was from Turkey. Very interesting cat, man. Him and his brother, Omar, and I forget his brother's name. But
Sheldon.
Really cool people. I remember the whole family. It was interesting because, Turkey has this kind of mix of Europe and Asia.
Oh, yes. Very exotic.
And people have that kind of mix about them too. And I remember even as a young kid, going over this guy's house and eating stuff I've never eaten before for lunch. And then a lot of stuff that was Italian, but made in a Turkish way, like lentils and a lot of like a pasta. They had like a pasta fazool.
Pasta fazool.
It was pasta fazool, but it had Turkish, more spices and stuff. It was different. It was the same, but yet there was some different components to it, and it was delicious. I said to my mom, how come you don't make pasta fazool like that?
How come you don't put saffron in there?
Yeah. It had crazy great spices and stuff like that. Very interesting people, too, they were. I think the dad was an importer of some kind, because I know he used to take a lot of trips.
Well, the Erdogan brothers, Ahmet and Neswi, were from Turkey, and they founded Atlantic Records and really started, as they say in New York, they really started something.
Yeah. Well, they were the first. I mean, they were among the first to recognize black music as mainstream music.
Jazz first, and then R&B.
Yeah, and had a great ear for what the public would want to buy, and had talent scouts out in all sorts of places. They were also the first people to recognize white soul music.
Yep. And
the Rascals, Vanilla Fudge,
and they saw it live. They saw that they were always there, always in the crowd.
They're always out watching their investments, I guess. But they really had a
looking for the future,
a knack for identifying what was going to sell to people.
Yep.
And it's an interesting place. Anyway, the bridges. We have a new longest suspension bridge in the world. So if you feel like going for a walk one afternoon,
that's a good place to go. You start in Europe.
Bridge all the time.
Start in Europe and wind up in Asia,
and then turn around and come back again,
just like that.
I wonder if they charge you to walk. I wonder if you even can walk across.
That's well, yeah, I think you can. Although you can't walk across any bridge in the Bay Area except the Golden Gate.
You can't walk across the
Bay Bridge.
The Bay Bridge from Oakland to the new one. I thought they made that so you could walk across it. Wow, that's a miss.
Well, they don't want people out there. It's just pedestrians and motorists just don't. They just don't mix.
You can walk across. You couldn't walk across the 59th Street Bridge for a long time. You can walk across to Brooklyn. You can walk across the Williamsburg, I believe. You can walk across the Triborough.
Really?
Yeah, you walk across the Triborough. You can't walk across the Whitestone or the Throgs Neck. And you can't walk across the Verrazano.
Throgs necks are very tender. They don't like anything walking on them. How does a throg? Yeah.
Frogs get really upset.
They do. They're very touchy about that. Get off my neck. Stay off my neck. Don't touch my neck.
Throgs are not pleasurable things to be around when you walk on their necks.
No, they are. They're likened to the Ukrainian army. You wake up a throg, you got a problem. Yeah.
I have a throg neck.
Don't ask me. Ask the throgs.
Ask the throg. Didn't they have a hit in the 60s with I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes.
Those were the throgs. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, they were the throgs.
Yeah. Nah. Vinnie, next time we meet, it'll be a Freaky Friday. I wonder what the world will be like a day after the big meeting in Europe.
I want to. One more thing before we go. Can I indulge?
Of course. Certainly.
Can somebody just please start a petition to change Senator John Kennedy's name?
It's too confusing.
It just always irks me when I hear the stupid crap that comes out of his mouth, and then they attribute it to Senator John Kennedy.
Maybe we could change his name to Barney Spolpakia.
You could change it to Tucker Carlpakia.
Close enough for me. I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's just the guy is disgusting. He looks like a pus bag. Sometimes you look at people and you can tell how they smell.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's a fart bag.
Yeah.
I mean, he sits in that seat, that nice leather seat that the taxpayers bought him.
And he farts in it.
And he farts in it. And he probably, knowing him, he's got a diaper on.
Oh, dear. And he won't change it.
Probably oozes in it as well. And then
That's
some poor
graphic.
federal worker has to come in
Well, I think with that in mind, it's time to change his name.
and disinfect the entire gallery.
Diaper Boy McGillicuddy.
Yeah, I like that, Diaper Boy McGillicuddy. And my apologies to anybody who wears a diaper, but
My apologies to the rest of the McGillicuddies.
yeah. Why did we pick McGillicuddy?
Came to mind.
Yeah. I don't know. That besmirches Lucy, though, doesn't it?
Well, to some extent, yes.
Yeah,
I did apologize.
We'll have to think of a better. How about John Hitler?
I think it's being used, but it's okay. John Hitler II.
You remember the story arc in Hill Street Blues where they had Vic Hitler, the comic?
I do not. Hey, be safe out there.
Vic Hitler, the narcoleptic comic.
He kept falling asleep during his own act.
He did. He would go up. And they got like, LaRue and Washington got these guys to invest money in him and went down to see him one night. And he gets on stage and he's killing it, man. He's just killing it. And then all of a sudden, boom.
I'm going to my quiet place.
Boom. So he had two strikes against him, Mikey. His name and his narcolepsy.
His name and his problem.
Yeah.
Vic, you were doing so well on stage. Yeah, what happened? You fell asleep. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, sometimes I do that. It keeps me on my toes.
It keeps other people on there.
All right. On that note, Mikey, we'll end with something funny. I will see you Wednesday. No, I'll see you Friday. If the
Freaky Friday, Freaky Fractious Friday coming your way. May the world be ready for it.
Yes, please. All right. As I always say, and seems further away from us than ever. Peace, love. Oh no, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
Okay, Vinnie, what a wine.
What a wine. All right, bro. See you later.